Hey, sitters, I'm Shannon,
And I'm Sean.
and this is Sinful Cuts.
Hooray! And
Yay!
today we're talking about Hurrah! Hurrah! The Crow. I'm going to do that a lot.
Oh my god.
I'm actually not. I swear to God. I even that would even annoy me. No, today we're talking about 1994's The Crow,
hmm
a tragic film, unfortunately, which of course we're gonna unpack. Also, kind of like a bit of a benchmark for the 90s,
Oh, for sure.
like a really definitive style that Alex Proyas created, along with a lot of other people, his team, but a really definitive look for this time that people ate up,
Oh yeah. It
absolutely loved.
I mean by the time so when he was making this movie, he was really only known for like music videos.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, so it's not that the whole movie looked like a music video, but like I
but
feel like
kind of does,
in a
and I
way it
mean that in a good
does.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also capturing the comic book as well. Like just the
Hmm.
whole like, washed out look, I think they played with the idea of keeping it black and white. Like they always knew like they wanted it excuse me, like as faithful to the comic as possible with the black and white look to it, and then the flashbacks would be in color. Like they always kind of knew
I
that they were going to do
love
that,
that
but
idea. I wish they did
black
that.
and I don't know. I feel like black and white would have been too stark. I feel
Okay, you
like.
know what? Forgive me because I'm coming off of Ripley on Netflix, shot in
Mhm.
the most gorgeous black and white I've ever seen in my life. So
Okay,
I've got black and white on the brain.
which is fine
Um,
for the right movies. It works beautifully.
I love the idea of the flashbacks in color though, because then you get that juxtaposition. I think that's a banger. Oh boy, I'm
Yeah. So
liking it a
though,
lot.
yeah. So for those scenes, they were that you saw a lot of red basically.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
in those scenes. Yeah, like there were a lot of red lighting.
Hey, how about the
Mhm.
fact that we have a little schmattering of this with Late Night with the Devil, that the off-camera portions when they cut to commercial are in black and white, and I love that about it.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Gosh, just visually very interesting, but doesn't clonk you over the head. Like it just, it felt, it just was very pleasing. It's very
Mhm.
pleasing to my eye. All right, I I I feel we're look, Sinners. Spoiler alert, I think we're gonna have a little bit of a different viewpoint of The Crow. I don't love this movie. I appreciate this movie for what it was and the craft that went into it. It didn't land with me in 94, and unfortunately it didn't land with me this week. Um this it's a me problem. It's not a Crow problem.
Mhm.
But
Once
I
again, Sean, you are correct. This is a perfect fucking movie.
someone took 2 doses of hurtful pills today. And, if you listen to our shortcuts episode, I love that you love this movie. So I swear to you, Shannon, I'm not going to put the boost to it.
I
Uh,
know, I
you know,
know.
I'm not going to go out of my way to be snarky or judgy. I'm just gonna, like, when we get to it, I'll just point out like this just didn't. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? But we'll get to it.
No, I get
Um,
it. I was pretty much prepared to somewhat defend this movie because because to me it's a perfect film.
I
And I
love that.
say
Yeah.
that, but I say that though, not like, does it have flaws? Yeah. Did some acting and maybe some CGI work hold up to today? Not
No.
really, not necessarily. But I say it from more so in how it even came to be in the first place. So, quick little history is
Please.
it was written by James O'Barr, who created the comic, and he wrote this comic out of his own grieving, where he unfortunately in the I believe it was the 80s, I want to say, which is why, like, if you really look at the comic, it has more of like that 80s look. Like, he has really like that Motley Crue like hair,
Yeah.
more so. So like it was just the time that was the 80s. and but unfortunately he lost his fiance. I believe it was a drunk driving incident, I want to
Yeah.
say. um so this is what he, again, sitting in his basement, just, alone, grieving. This is what he created. By the time it got to Alex Proyas and, starts developing the movie, it's no secret that before, I don't even think they were halfway done, that Brandon Lee unfortunately loses his life during filming for a freak accident similar to what happened to, just happened again, like not that long ago with,
On the Rust movie with Alec Baldwin. Yeah.
thank you, with Alec Baldwin. So similar idea where like a piece of, um it's like it's not an actual bullet, but I think it's like a piece that's like stuck in the gun, like kind of got,
Well,
like
wait,
on the spring set.
can I jump in here real quick? Because
Yeah.
I just listened to a quick thing about it. So it actually was a real bullet that didn't have the gunpowder, but did have the primer. And an actor, fired the gun. The primer went off, but the primer's just a little pop, and the bullet went halfway down the barrel and was
Okay.
locked in there. And then when they put the
Yes.
blank in, the blank doesn't have the bullet, of course, but has the gunpowder. So it essentially made a live round.
I see.
When the actor Michael Massey, unfortunately, I mean, I feel so bad for the people that unintentionally, you know, take a life. Like, I have to kind of
Yeah.
call it for what it
Yeah.
is, because it's not their fault. There should have been so many safeguards that were in place, but it was like this catastrophic chain of bad luck events. The person that was in charge of it left early that day. They put this, basically like helper in charge and didn't know to check the barrel,
Right.
and
Didn't
then
think
we
that would be a thing. Like, why? Yeah. So,
yeah.
and
So
then 30 years later, it happens again. So it's like, it's still, this is what
it's
happens when you
heartbreaking.
don't, yeah, when put in the safety measures that you're supposed to put in. But,
Shanna, I,
yeah.
I, I, I want you to continue. I just want to put this on Sinner's radar. If you're interested in that, I just listened to a really fascinating podcast episode on what went wrong, and it's a great podcast. I highly recommend it. Everybody should check it out. They talk about their whole gig is to talk about productions and what went wrong on productions.
Oh, okay.
Some produce horrific flops and some produce the best films you've ever seen, but there's always catastrophe on set. But they had an armorer come in because they were talking about the Crow, Rust, and what their job is and how insanely methodical they must be and how seriously they take their job. I highly recommend listening to this episode and all episodes of What Went Wrong, but this one in particular, especially with what we're talking about today. Boy, oh boy, did it resonate.
Oh, for sure. So, like, but again, with like knowing all that in mind, I really look at this movie, and I almost kind of go with, we don't deserve it. You know what I mean? This was born out of somebody else's, again, grieving,
Tragedy, yeah.
and then fucking they try to go make and then something absolutely tragic, the of all people, the star of the fucking film,
I
not
know.
just the star of the fucking film, but fucking Bruce Lee's son,
I know.
who also
Oh,
died tragically and mysteriously as well. So it's like, to me, it's like, when it's like a snapshot in time that you're never going to duplicate it, you're never going to replicate it, you're never going to remake it. We're never going to get that ever again. And for Alex Proyas to not even have half the movie done and still find a way to fucking to finish it,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it's, to
It's
me,
fairly remarkable. It really is.
exactly. So that's what I mean, is that, like, I just feel like it's such an important film just for that alone, honestly.
My my heart breaks for Brandon Lee, of course, because the poor man passed away. But he was really starting to catch fire. Bruce Lee had a canon of work. he had movies, plural.
Mhm.
Brandon Lee had some movies, but he really was in the infancy of his career, and he was garnering such great word of mouth. And this was a
Mhm.
really exciting film for him. Just to play a little, you know, casting what ifs. They had originally wanted River Phoenix and really wanted Christian Slater for the film, and
Okay.
Brandon Lee had to fight for it, and he won them over. He won Alex Proyas over, and nailed it and cemented the part for
Yeah.
himself. Tragically, you know, but he's up against River Phoenix, who is at the apex of his career. I mean,
Yeah.
he is just forget it. And same with Christian Slater, in because this would have shot in say 92, 93.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
that was his prime as
those
well.
guys, are you kidding me? So good on him, to tragically to land the gig. But I agree with you. We really don't deserve the film because I'm still shocked that they were able to put this movie together
Mhm.
with what they had. And you can't see, I will give all the credit in the world to Alex Proyas and the editors. You can't see the seams. You can't.
No, not at all.
It
Not
is
at
it
all.
it's coherent from start to finish. It makes sense. There's not a part where you're like, that's it. Oh boy, yeah. Whoa, you know, duh, don't worry about those 20 minutes. They just had to shove that in there. There's none of that.
There's none of that. No. No. They're like, "Oh, there's the body double." No, I have no idea. I have no clue.
No idea.
No idea who it
No
is.
idea.
Yeah.
So let me just do the hard yards real quick, just
Yeah.
so we can get that out of the way. So we've got a budget of 23 million. So in 94, 23 million, it's a pretty good budget. It's a
Yeah.
pretty good budget.
Yeah.
They're spending movie on the special effects. I agree with you. These are 94 special effects. They don't hold up to today's standards, but for at the time, they were pretty cutting edge. They really were. Like
Yeah.
the bullet holes that heal themselves and the cuts that heal themselves. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're a little janky now, but back then we hadn't seen that before. So you're like, what?
Yeah.
Um, we've got a screenplay based off of the comic, of course, James O'Barr's comic. Oh, by the way, can I just let you know, a comic book collector for decades. I don't collect any longer because it just got too overwhelming. But back then, that comic was on the indie scene, and like it was exciting as hell.
Oh, yeah.
Exciting as hell. You know, I'm not Sinners. I'm not making a mockery of this. It reminds me of what was going on with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at the time. Again,
Okay.
another indie comic that just landed in the zeitgeist, and people were like, "You this," because it wasn't Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles wasn't a kids cartoon. It was an indie comic that people were like, "You got to read this fucking thing," and it was the same with the Crow. Like you were like,
Right.
"You got to read this fucking comic," and those were incredibly exciting times for comic book collectors. I am sure that it still exists today. I'm just out of the loop, you know?
Yeah, I mean, because it was outside, like the all the caped crusaders that were coming, that they were known for. It wasn't your Superman, it wasn't your Captain America, like it wasn't any of those. Not
And
that
those
they weren't
comics,
great for their time as well, but this was just like, what the fuck is that one? Like it was just wildly different.
no, but Shannon, you kind of nailed it. Back then, when James O'Barr's comic was starting to really gain that indie cred, and people were like, "Yo, you really got to search this thing out." The mainstream comics at the time, I'm not saying that there weren't absolutely killer arcs to some of our favorites, but they were
Mhm.
floundering a little bit because there was like this oversaturation. Like, you had a book like Amazing Spider-Man, then all of a sudden, you got Spectacular Spider-Man and Web of Spider-Man, and then some like offshoots and team ups. Like there was just the saturation was starting to take effect. And this was like a gleaming little light of like you want to get back to like finding a book that's really going to twist your head, and there's nothing else like it out there, and that was The Crow, and
Yeah.
I appreciate it so much. So you've got David S. Chow, is credited with writing the script. Now David S. Chow is known for being a splatterpunk author, and the funny thing is, he gets fired, and then John Shirley comes in, and I might have it ass backwards here, but one of them came in and then got fired, and the other came in, two splatterpunk guys, which I think is kind of like, it very much ties into the punk rock and roll aesthetic of this movie. You kind of have like the bad boys of horror are pitching in to make this movie, which is kind of like all of a sudden this film became like the bad boy of 94. There was nothing else like it.
Yeah,
So I like how
exactly.
those pieces come together. So they're credited with writing the script along with Proyas. Then you have cinematography. Now this is what me, my cinematography, ticket for one club. Um,
Mm.
you've got uh, Darius Wolski. Now, this gentleman is interesting as hell because he shoots this film, and I think this film is fairly gorgeous. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I,
I
I
mean,
I love the look of this. I like how they washed everything out, and they took out like the blues and the greens. I think they said so. Again, they didn't necessarily keep it black and white, but it's
damn near close.
pretty damn close. Yes.
The camera movement, a lot of panning shots. By the way, the model work in this film,
Mm-hmm.
all of the cityscape is models, all of it. The
Yeah.
model work in this film is fantastic. The practical work in this film is fantastic. So
Yeah.
you've got Darius's cinematography along with the special effects, the VFX of the model work, these swooping shots. I just really I dined out. Jesus Christ, I really am talking myself into liking this film the more I talk about it. But
I
um,
knew it.
you know, it is it's a really well made film, and it's really fun to look at. It really
Yes.
is, you
Yeah.
know. So, kudos to him. He then goes on to basically become Ridley Scott's cinematographer.
Mm-hmm.
He
Oh, I could
shoots
see that. Yeah.
everything with Ridley. So he just did Napoleon. I mean, we're talking about Alien Covenant, and we're talking about the Martian. I mean, this guy is just woo. Wait, he did Zemeckis's The Walk, and he's done Greengrass. He worked with Paul Greengrass. I mean, this guy. He knows cinematography. So again,
Yeah.
a little cinematography heart for you, Darius. I
He
really
un-
love your stuff.
he understands the assignment.
Yeah,
For
yeah, he
sure.
really.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like if you see the trajectory of his career, he just gets better and better and better as he goes along. So,
He
uh, you
tops
know,
himself somehow.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then
That little go-getter.
you know, kudos to him because he also aligns himself with some real visionaries, like especially uh, you know uh, visionaries that love to put everything on the screen, which sounds incredibly stupid because you're like, yeah, Sean, that's what movies are. But you know what I'm talking about? Like these directors
Yeah.
that tell that would prefer to tell a story visually than actually even have dialogue. You know,
Right.
so I love that for him. So okay, um, we've got Brandon Lee, of course, is Eric Draven. We've got Michael Wincott as Top Dollar. We've got Ernie Hudson, who I feel like if I hugged Ernie Hudson, he'd smell so good, like just like your favorite aftershave. I just want to hug Ernie Hudson. I know it's awkward.
I want
I know it is.
I did want to stop on Ernie Hudson for a minute because I liked another thing that I liked about this story is it still fits the comic book standards, even though we mentioned that it's wildly different. But your standards are still there. It's still a vigilante status, good versus evil. Like that type of a story. And Ernie Hudson, I thought was such a great character as Albrecht, as basically as the light, as the
Yeah,
like amongst all the dark going on, like he's in this shit too. His boss is a fucking asshole.
yeah, yeah.
Like, so, but he's still in the middle of being a cop in this awful town, and immediately sees the light in the situation. And
It's
I think he stayed with the girl, or the fiance, for, like he said, like 30 hours that he
yeah.
stayed with her. Like, like, not what cop does. I don't want to put cops out there like that, but, like, you know what I mean. Like, you don't hear of a lot of people doing that. So I just thought he was such a great character.
It's funny to me that his apartment is the only clean place in town.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're so right that he is the light. He's the good guy. He's the he's the white hat. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so Ernie's fantastic. We have Sophia Shimas as Shelley, poor Shelley, and then we've got my man David Patrick Kelly as T-Bird. David
Mhm.
Patrick Kelly from the Warriors. Love seeing him pop up.
Oh, and
Love
he
it.
was great. All of those guys were great. You
Oh yeah,
love to hate every single one of them. They're such assholes.
they are only beat by one crew, and that
Uh-huh.
is the crew from RoboCop. That's
Fair
the
enough.
only right. All right, you got to give me
Fair
that.
fair enough.
It's close. It's very close, but the RoboCop ekes it out. Then you've got Rochelle Davies as Sarah. I thought she was phenomenal. What a great child actor. And then Bai Ling as my cat. Um, a good cast. Really good actors. I just thought everybody brought their A game. For me, the only thing that I'll say is that for me, it feels like half measures. I wish that the film had really embraced more the aesthetic. The visual aesthetic is there, but the kind of the the dread and violence. The violence for me in The Crow is a little bit too comic booky, cartoony. I shouldn't say comic book. It comes from comic book. It's too cartoonish for me. I wish it had been more of what was in the comic book, which was truly dark and disturbing.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, so that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Other than that, you have my support on this film. I promise you.
Yeah. No, I understand. Yeah, I mean, I guess I see what you're saying, where like the kills can be kind of tame. I guess it's just because it wasn't about that. I guess maybe they didn't want to focus. I'll admit I'm not too sure
Well,
why
Shannon, it's
they.
also studio film. You've got hands in the pie saying no, no, no.
Oh well,
You
yeah,
know, I would say that there's probably knowing Alex Proyas and what he went on to do and what he did with Mad City, sorry, Dark City, Dark City.
I love that
I
movie.
guarantee me too. That's actually my favorite Proyas. But
Okay.
I promise you, he was probably trying to push the boundaries as far as it would go. But it's a studio film. You know,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
you're
you're
only going to
right.
be able to push so hard.
Yeah.
Okay, just little fun fact: Iggy Pop was wanted for Fun Boy, but his schedule didn't line up. But he is in the sequel.
Yes. Yes. He made it into the sequel.
He would have made a great Fun Boy. That would have been a lot of fun to check out.
I think so too. Although I really did like so Fun Boy's scene. It's like one of my favorite scenes. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just this I don't know if it was just like the song that was playing. I think like it was Stone Temple Pilots that was playing in that
They got an
not Stone Temple
MTV Movie
Pilots.
Award. It was that song playing at the time.
Was it that song? The
Yep,
Because the soundtrack is the best soundtrack I have ever heard too, and I will still say that to this
it is
day.
real good. It is.
Fight me.
No, no, no fight at all
Yeah.
because I
I'm not even
watched the
talking to
movie.
you. I'm talking like to any sitter. It's like, oh no, 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 this random playlist. Nope, no, it isn't.
Sinners, send help. Shannon's always trying to fight me. Please get help. I watched this movie today and then I immediately listened to the soundtrack. And it's just a banger. It's an
Yeah,
absolute banger. It
yeah,
brought me back too. Those were good times back in the 90s.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. But there's just something so like just comical and dark about his whole scene where he shoots him in the hand, and then he watches that the hand it immediately heal, and friggin' Brandon Lee's just laughing at him. Or Eric Draven rather is laughing at him, and Fun Boy's like, what the like, and he's just fucking on heroin, so he's just I don't think he knows what the fuck is up or down in that
Shannon, do me a
moment.
favor though, because we skipped past it. For the sinners who haven't seen this movie, and I know we're both like impossible, but there are going to be sinners out there. Take them through the story, please. Let them know what they
The
got.
Yeah, so I mean, a man is so like the plot itself is a man brutally murdered comes back to avenge the tragic crime against him and his fiance. So him and his fiance, Eric Draven and Shelley Webster. Shelley gets attacked by this group, four guys. He is brutally beaten, raped, the whole nine. Which they suggest they don't really go into it. I think they tastefully talk about it, honestly. So it's
Yeah,
it's done. So I get it. You didn't get more violence, but I don't know. I still think it was done pretty well. But Eric comes home right smack in the middle of it. They ends up killing him as well. And the whole idea of the crow is that if somebody is wrongfully taken from this earth, a crow can sometimes bring that spirit back for like a good temporarily, like 2 days.
yeah.
So he's not, like, and he never goes into like what he is. He even says he's like, I don't know what I am. Like, you're technically not a zombie. You're not, like
Snooting him too.
you're
Yeah,
immortal, but you have a time clock,
yeah.
you know?
Which I think is
So
incredibly interesting. I really
yeah.
love that ticking clock aesthetic to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's one thing that broke my heart, and I only learned about this by doing some research for the episode. So Michael Berryman of The Hills Have Eyes fame,
Hmm.
you know who I'm talking about. Big conical bald head. He is a genre stalwart, and you know, he's just one of my favorite character actors in horror. So he was playing the role of Skull Cowboy, and
Hmm.
Skull Cowboy basically acts as almost like a spirit guide for Eric during his journey to kind of help him navigate. Now, what happened was after the tragic death of Brandon Lee, they felt that those scenes were just, it was like a step too far, because he was
Yeah.
navigating through the spirit world, and of course you just had your lead actor die. So I don't blame them for cutting those parts, but it breaks my damn heart that Michael Berryman probably had a real juicy role and it's on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, no, and I get that. I agree with the decision though, because I do think it even like knowing of that character, I have to go back and check out the comic again because I'm like I don't see how it would fit.
Well, and it
I
was it was
you know
handled great with the Raven, you know?
yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
So
which I don't think was very prominent so much in the comic. So I think that character was prominent enough where this one he was like, why, the crow was basically just the entity that helped bring him back, show him what to do, show him where to go, and it was almost acting like as his eyes as well. Like if he caught one of the, if you happen to see one of them, like it was almost like Eric can see through the crow's eyes. I thought that was kind of cool too.
it was cool, and boy, oh boy, does he do a job on Bai Ling. There are definitely there's some gruesome deaths. Okay, now let's talk about our crew. So you have Skank, Funboy, Tintin,
And
and
T-Bird.
T-Bird.
Hmm.
Great. I love a movie. I love a movie with a band of scumbags. I love a band of scumbags. These are the actors who get to have the most fun
Oh yeah.
because they just get to take it to, they're like 11. No, maybe 15 or 16 feels about right when they're in the street and they're just like pumping themselves up, and I'm just like, this is so insane that like
Yeah.
the world that these marauders travel in. I'm like, do
The
they have
swallow the
homes?
swallowing bullets.
Yeah. Oh,
It
like,
was
what what do they do? Do they go home to an apartment? Like, you
yeah.
just can't help but think like, do they have job? No, I guess this is their job, just murdering.
Yeah, they're working for top dollar and setting fires and
All
I
right.
don't know.
So thank you so much. They work for Top Dollar. Michael Wincott. Michael Wincott in '94 he also had insane indie cred, bleeding over into mainstream cred because he was one of Oliver Stone's ensemble
Mhm.
guys. Popped up in Stone's work. He was making a name for himself in some Tarek Malik pictures. He was he was really he was really becoming like the that guy as far as like dark villain roles, which I loved for him. I mean, he was stereotyped into that and pigeonholed. I mean, come on, man, that voice, you know,
Yeah, he was like he was so great as like the main villain. Like he was just eerily composed.
yeah,
And the fact that he was just like so calm and just didn't really have time for bullshit, like just like that
he's got
just made him like that much more scarier to me.
he's got presence for days. So
Mhm.
Sinners, just to let you know, so Michael ran into some substance abuse problems and really dropped out for quite some time. And I'm so thrilled and happy to say that he's back. And if you checked out Jordan Peele's Nope 2 years ago,
Mhm.
Michael Wincott has a plum role in that as a cinematographer who's helping our gang capture the whatever that is up in the sky, and he has all the presence that he had back in the 90s, 80s, and 90s. And I almost cried when I saw him on screen because I love seeing that for people. You
I
know,
do
life's
too.
life can be fucking hard. You know,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
can be
You
hard, and
We love a good comeback, you know.
yeah, when
Mhm.
someone cleans up and gets to work again and gets that second chance, it makes my heart sing. So I'm thrilled for Michael, and I hope I'm sure he's just going to make some incredible, do some incredible work going forward. So we love
Yeah.
that for him. Yay, Michael Wincott. Also,
Yeah.
I adore him in Alien Resurrection. Again, plays the
Oh, that's
leader
right.
of like a ragtag crew.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
My
Forgot
only
he was
my
in that.
My only gripe with Michael Wincott, and I doubt this was his choice, but he is dressed like he is in the Pirates of Penzance in this movie, and it takes me out of it, Shannon. It does. Come on, it takes me out of it. I'm sorry. He's
we'll,
dressed
we'll,
like
we'll,
pirates.
we'll assume somebody else made him dress that way.
Well, yeah, someone was having fun in the costume department, but he's dressed like Pirates of Penzance, and Tony Todd is dressed like he's leading a ska band. And I honestly, you know what? I take it all back. I kind of love it. Just
I
thinking
don't
about
think he's
how
leading a ska band. What are
bonkers
you
it
talking
is.
about?
It looks like he's leading a ska band. He does.
Okay. I don't see that, but sure. I disagree.
Yeah, disagree, so I'll shut up.
Yeah.
Oh, so in essence, we have this is a Revenge from the Grave film. We get some pretty brutal revenge, and all of it kind of makes sense for what our scumbag group is adept at. Like Tintin gets stabbed with his knives.
With his own knives.
Seabird's
The
killed in his car, kind of with his car.
T-Bird is killed with his own car, and Skank is thrown out of a window. Exactly
Skank really
how.
had no skill though, so going out the window is fine.
Yeah. Yes. But Skank's death is bookended with so I think it was like the bookend. So like he when Eric and Shelley's getting attacked, Eric walks into the apartment. He immediately gets stabbed by Tintin.
Tintin, yeah.
He immediately gets the knife thrown, and he gets probably has a major artery hit or something like that and falls. You see a first person point of view, so you don't really know, but you watch it.
But when
And
you do
then
see it, that knife
yeah,
is in deep,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. So then, and then eventually he's just he's shot, and then he's thrown out the fucking window.
Yeah.
So, and that's when Skank dies. So it literally starts off with him stabbing Tintin, and then throwing what's his face Skank over out. You know, it's almost like a shot for shot scene. Like both like you get like Brandon Lee
Yeah.
like falling, and then you get Skank falling in that
Well, I actually really didn't even think about
same
that, but you're
same
spot on.
fashion. Same
Yeah,
fashion. Hmm.
they're identical. So, all right. So Eric does away with our scumbag crew, and then of course like every good, because this is, I think of this less of horror and more of action. It definitely has horror elements to it,
Hmm.
but it's kick-ass action movie. I
I
mean,
see it more as an action film for sure.
it stands on its own as an action movie for sure. Like if
Hmm.
anybody's like, horror's not my thing, I think they could watch this and be like, oh yeah, it's not even a horror movie, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's dark, but it's not. It's not in that sense. Not too
I do,
much.
the third act, you get a really great set piece in the church. You get the demise of Michael Wincott, which is actually pretty friggin' brutal. He's impaled on I want to say a gargoyle, but I don't know if it actually is. But one of the
Um.
one of the spikes goes
Yeah.
through his mouth, which I
Yeah.
hadn't picked up the first time I saw it. I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. Yeah. And then it turns like the waterfall gargoyle into blood.
I love that.
Me
I
too.
love that. No, it was so good. It was
He got his
so
come
good.
up. He got his comeuppance pretty good.
Bylink gets her eyes picked out by our little Raven pal.
Hmm.
So
Which
not just
I think his name was Magic.
Magic the Raven. Okay,
Magic the Raven, and I believe I didn't really get this confirmed, but apparently because they did go on to make like what three more sequels, I
yeah,
think, like the straight to video type of situation, and I'm pretty sure though it's the same, because he's a trained Raven, so they're like, oh, let's bring the trained Raven back. I'm pretty sure he's in all three,
I mean
and his
birds are
name is
friggin'
Magic.
smart.
Yeah,
Birds are
yeah,
smart as fuck.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh, if you ever see a little Hitchcock movie, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
I don't really dig on the sequels, and I've never seen one, and I'll tell you why. It's the Brandon Lee factor. It just
Yep.
bums me out.
Yeah.
I can't, you
I
know.
never saw any of the sequels.
I know we're
Ironically,
getting.
I'll probably watch
I know, me
the
too.
remake coming out. I don't know. Maybe I'm curious enough, I guess, at this point.
Well, I
But
like Bill Skarsgård, but
yeah.
it's still, I mean, it's all these years later. It's gonna be 30 years later. It's still bumming me out. It's like, can't we
Mhm.
just leave this one alone? You
Yeah.
know, there's plenty of IP out there. Let's just pick something else. But look, you know what? We always say this. Let's not judge it till we see it. Could be
Mhm. Mhm.
could be phenomenal. And like I said, we love Bill Skarsgård, so we'll put positive vibes out there. But yeah, I can't dig on any of the previous sequels. Look, this this goes down as a great final film for Brandon Lee, unfortunately, but it's a great piece of work. Um, it's quality. So, and he made some, when he was coming up, he started movies with Dolph Lundgren. He didn't make the best stuff. He just took what he could get, you
Yeah.
know. So to have this as his epitaph, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So, but it's like I said, like it's in the beginning, like it's to me, it's a perfect film, but not so much that like does everything hold up. But I just think it's an important film to remember,
I
honestly.
agree with you, 100%.
For yeah, with the tragedy behind it,
Could could I pick your brain about something here?
Of
So
course.
this isn't Crow. I mean, this involves the Crow, but it's not Crow related. But I wanted to get your take on this. So I looked up the horror movies in '94.
Okay.
'94 was a weird year for horror. Not to say
Yeah.
it was a bad year, a really weird year. You had a lot. You had Brain Scan, you know. You had a
Hmm.
lot of You had Leprechaun 2. You had a lot of like genre, let's just say like some indie stuff that either is garbage or beloved.
Okay.
Dealer's choice, no
Fine.
judgment. We had a lot of that, but then we had this weird carve out of very prestigious directors getting involved in horror. So check this out. We in '94 alone, you had all right. So look, we've got what I feel is Carpenter's last great-ish film, which is In the Mouth of Madness
Okay.
with Sam Neill. I do feel like, okay, this is like the last gasp of old school Carpenter. You know, so not that he is a genre director through and through, but I feel like, okay, in '94 we got JC's last go at it. got Frankenstein by Kenneth Branagh. What are your thoughts on Frankenstein by Kenneth Branagh, starring Robert De Niro as Frankenstein?
Oh, wait, I do remember that.
It is a we're gonna have to do
It's
that
a
movie, Shannon. It's
it's it's
weird as fuck.
it's something. It's something.
He Kenneth Branagh
With
with
Helena Bonham
his
Carter, right?
yeah.
Isn't she like the
As
bride for a hot fucking
yes,
second? But
yes.
she's like all like stitched.
With,
Yeah.
with
We'll have
like a
to
supporting
expand on that.
with a supporting cast of like incredible character actors, production value out the ass, and Kenneth Branagh makes a B-level Hammer horror movie that doesn't work at all, and it's also kind of homoerotic, but also testosterone action film, but definitely doesn't work, but is so watchable for the most part. It is. It's we're gonna have to do it because it's bizarre as fuck.
I agree.
Oh, it's promoting another podcast because it's all I do. Um, Sinners, go check out Faculty of Horror does an episode on Kenneth Branagh's Frankenstein, and it is eminently listenable. Those ladies have a field day with this movie. I mean,
As they should. As you
oh
should.
yeah, I mean, they dine out on the hysterical nature of a shirtless Kenneth Branagh, and Kenneth Branagh is fucking asking for it, my friends. So I support them 100%. Then you had Wolf, starring
Yes.
Jack Nicholson. Let me rip. It's in a werewolf movie directed by Mike Nichols. Let me repeat that for the sinners. Mike Nichols, who has directed some of the best movies ever put on celluloid and is known for his like biting, dry, sarcastic comedies that are just delicious. And he's like, you know what would be fun? Let me make a werewolf movie with Jack Nicholson. And then James Spader shows up as cocaine.
He's
Just
just
cocaine.
he's cocaine, yes.
And then Michelle Pfeiffer is like, yeah, I got to get in on that. Michelle Pfeiffer, by the way, melts your eyes off in this movie. She's almost too good looking. She's so
She's
fucking
there's
beautiful.
I know. And I feel like she's getting younger.
Yeah.
Like
Another one who's a
right?
vampire. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I want to be her when I grow up.
She figures out if you watch Wolf, and I highly recommend everybody stop what you're doing and go watch Wolf.
Go watch
It
Wolf.
is, and then tell me what is happening and what this fucking movie is. I love every frame of that. I can't figure out what is happening at any given time, or I love movies like that where I watch it and I'm just like, so they're making a werewolf movie, right? In, set in a publishing house in New York City. I fucking shoot that shit into my veins. It's so bonkers. Okay, so we had that. Then we have.
I saw that in the theaters.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I'm
My mom,
so
yeah,
jealous.
because my mom like had to see it. She's like, "Come on, you're coming with me." I was like, "Okay."
And you know why? Because your mom's a genius woman, and I support that as well. Then you had Interview with a Vampire, shot by
Mm-hmm.
Neil Jordan, coming off of The Crying Game. Again, it's like, all right, I guess these guys just want to make some horror movies. Then we had, oh, this is very exciting. He wasn't established at the time, even remotely, but you got Danny Boyle shoots Shallow Grave. Sinners, if you haven't seen a little movie, Danny Boyle's Shallow Grave, oh boy, you'll thank me later. This is one nasty, nasty bitch of a film, and it is unbelievably, incredibly awesome. I really hope I'm putting that on some people's radar. Shallow Grave. Oh man, I'm gonna watch that this week. Oh, I love that. And then you had Ed Wood, which okay, I get it. It's not horror, but it takes place in the genre. You got Tim
Yeah.
Burton doing Ed Wood. What the fuck was going on in '94, Shannon? What was going on? You could have gone to a double feature of Brain Scan and Wolf.
Yeah.
What? My head hurts. What is going
What a
on?
time to be alive.
Like, why can't we repeat that? Why can't we have Spielberg? It's like, you know what I'm doing? I'm doing a movie about Karis the Mummy because that seems right. What the fuck?
Don't forget about Puppet Masters. I'm pretty sure Puppet Masters is 94 as well.
It was with Donald Sutherland, Puppet Masters. Yep. Yeah.
Hmm, hmm,
God
hmm, hmm.
dang you. Oh, yeah. We had so much garbage. Not saying that in a derogatory way. We love garbage. We had so much
Hmm.
garbage that year, and then these weird moments of A-list prestige directors that are like, "I'm making a Frankenstein movie," and you're like, "What the fuck is
You're
this?
like, are
Is
you what?
reality coming apart?" So anyway, '94, kisses all over your face, you weird, weird, wonderful
It
time.
was a very, very weird year. We
Oh,
also got Street Fighter that year, apparently.
we did? Oh,
Apparently. That
Street
movie's
Fighter.
movie's like awful and great at the same time.
Street Fighter makes me sad though because it was the
No,
last. I
wait,
believe it
no. I think no, that was a terrible movie. I'm thinking Mortal Kombat. No, Street
was.
Fighter's awful.
Well, I'll go out on a limb and say they're both bad, but okay.
Unless it's the cartoon. The cartoon is amazing.
Of Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I
All right.
actually now I don't know if that's the live action. I have to look that up. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Street Fighter makes me sad because it's the last role of Raul Julia,
Mm,
Gomez Adams, among other incredible, such a body of work. He's one of my favorite actors of all time. I just love that man. He's good
yeah.
in everything. Good in everything, even Street Fighter.
Even
So,
Street Fighter. Fair
all
enough.
right. I just wanted to bring up Weird '94 because it was bizarre. But
It was definitely a weird year. It was the goth grunge era, so basically the best way I could describe the 90s is I think, the 70s was a weird time. The 80s, everyone was just coke fueled and colorful. Right?
I'm all
Like
for it.
hairspray everywhere, bright colors, and
Shoulder
then
pads out to here.
shoulder pads. And
What?
then so we get to like the 90s, and the 90s were just like, no, like get it off, get it off, get it off, get it off.
Yeah.
And everything just got darker, like in music, in dress, in
Film.
makeup, in film. Like
Yeah.
it's so that's why I think it kind of went to that style a little bit. It was a mixture of the grunge, the garage band look, sounding,
Yeah.
and then introduced Marilyn Manson, and that's where now we have all our goth kids
Yeah.
birthing them out and just going like, yeah, friggin', even though it was weird because it was guys wearing makeup, but I'm like, did you see Motley Crue? And they were like all those hair metal 80s bands, like why is that different?
It's the biggest hypocritical bullshit of all those fucking jocks that were like, yeah, you fucking god with your mascara, and you're like, you literally just came from a crew concert. Those
Hmm.
guys are wearing
Hmm.
so much spandex and so much
Yeah.
Aquanet, so it's like, yeah, you're bullshit. But you know what? It doesn't. I mean, they just want to fucking pick on people anyway. So fuck them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, but the 90s was a time.
Love nothing more than to carve out an entire section of the population, people who are into athletics, and telling them to go fuck themselves. Oh, by the way, I also have a you can totally go fuck yourself as well, as long as I'm getting us on the radar of litigation. Did you did you hear that bullshit from Jerry Seinfeld this week where he's saying movies are dead?
What? I did
Yeah,
not hear that.
he did this interview with GQ, and he's pronouncing the death of movies, that people don't go to movies anymore. And I'm like, motherfucker, why don't you just for a hot second tap into the horror community? It's never been more exciting. We've never
Hmm.
communicated more. We've never pumped each other up more. We've never put shit on people's radar. We've never supported those fucking movies, and we've never talked about them endlessly for everyone's enjoyment. So you know what, dude? You're just looking in the wrong place. So from one Long Island guy to another Long Island guy, shut the fuck up.
Oh. Normally you tried to get a lawsuit on a Short Kids episode. You were actually pretty good. So now you're
I
making up
was.
for it. Now you're making up for it on this episode.
I was pretty good. But that just pisses me off, man. The movies are
Yeah.
dead. Fuck you.
Like I don't know. I don't even know what that means. I don't know.
He's
Maybe we're too small. We're too small. Too small guys, I guess. That doesn't
I
know
mean,
anything about. We don't know anything about movies, Sean. Though. So
I feel like I'm absolutely going to have to cut this out of the podcast. I feel it's feeling very litigious. It's funny. This douche was saying that people don't, people used to go to movies on Friday nights and they would talk about it, like kind of like water cooler talk, and you talk to your friends about it. We all got to go to the movies. We all got to go to the movies, and then you'd quote lines from it, and you'd like, it was like a cultural thing. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I get that that's not happening for rom-coms and adult dramas because studios won't make those movies anymore for the
it's
most part.
still, yeah, but I would say it's still there. I still talk about movies every morning getting coffee at my job.
It's happening
Like
every
it's.
day, all day long in the horror community. So it's
Oh
like,
yeah,
don't make a pronouncement. If you haven't done the homework, don't make a pronouncement because movies are very much alive, and horror movies every goddamn year save Hollywood. There's
yes they
always
do.
the money makers. Horror comes
Yes
in
they do.
and yeah, and smiles like you're welcome.
Yeah, oh
Uh,
yeah.
and do people go out of their way to point this out? They certainly don't, but we do. So, horror, we love you.
That's why we hired us.
That's right. That's why we are our management, our interns, our chauffeurs, our catering, and our talent. Anyway, I mean, look, Jerry Seinfeld's probably having someone stitch together a hammock of $1,000 bills right now, so he'll be fine.
It'll be all right. We're not. You're not the first person to talk shit about him. I'm sure.
Oh well, I mean, just fucking, it just makes me nuts. Like, don't pick on movies. I'll fuck you up. I will not do that. That was not a threat. I am rescinding that. Fuck you up. Go fuck yourself. I stand behind. I will fuck you up. I take
I will wag my finger though. Very.
I mean, what's with all these horror movies? That was my Jerry Seinfeld.
There you go.
Anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is horror community and horror people, we see you, we love you. We're never going anywhere. We're never going to say movies are dead. They're very
No.
much undead for us. See what I did
there? We're so cool.
You're so cool, Brewstered us. You're so cool, Brewstered our own podcast.
I did.
And I love it.
I did. Oh my god, I'm about to wipe a tear.
Okay, when we both sigh and wipe tears out of our eyes, it's time to wrap this shit up.
And that was The Crow.
I came full circle. You know what? You convinced me. It's a good movie. I like it.
Huzzah.
You win.
Yay. I wonder what other movies I'm going to convince you. Do you think I'm going to convince you to like Brain Scan?
I mean, I'm only saying maybe because I haven't seen it, but hold on. I'm shaking up my magic 8-ball. It's not in your favor.
We'll see. Challenge accepted.
But I swear to you, I'll be fair. I swear I will give it a shot. I
might hate it.
That.
I might hate it. I don't remember that movie at all.
Yeah, it's fucking 30 years since you saw it, so you might hate it. All right.
It'll be worth revisiting.
My beer is done now. I'm going night-night.
That's when we have to end, as soon as the beer is done.
I kind of love where this podcast went. Maybe we should make this the norm. At the end of the podcast, we just pick a random celebrity and we're like, you know what? Fuck that guy. Oh my goodness gracious. We're going to have to get a lawyer.
We might have to.
All right.
Other than that.
Sinners. I mean, when I'm in jail, can you go to jail for slandering someone? I don't know.
I don't
Well, would
think
you?
so.
Will they give me podcast equipment in jail?
Well, I'll see what I can do.
All right, thank you. Oh,
I have a new
I'd be like,
studio space.
I'm gonna be passing around like a candy apple in jail. This is not gonna work out great for me.
Shawshank Redemption did come out in '94 as well.
Wait, what? It did?
It did.
Oh, snap!
I'm almost positive.
Are
Almost
you?
positive. Shawshank Redemption. Hold on.
Oh my god, I love that movie
Before
so
we
much.
we need to close it out knowing, hold on. Sorry, sitters, give me one
Hey,
second.
could we
The
do Shawshank? I
Shawshank
know it's not
Redemption
horror.
94. Yeah.
All right,
1994.
you and I both know it's not horror, but maybe we do like down the road we do a month of like brushes up against horror or written by Stephen King. I don't know. We'll figure it out, but we'll just do it. It's our own podcast. We do whatever we want.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fucking people
Yeah.
thinking they can tell us what to do.
I'll talk to our managers. It'll be fine. I love how this whole time we're making ourselves sound so much more important than we are.
I hear they're jerks.
I
Oh
think it
my god!
depends on how much beer they have.
All we want is to possibly make $1 at this, so we could hire an intern and pay them nothing.
There you go. Exactly.
Oh my goodness!
Oh boy. All right. Before this gets too weird.
It's too
How
late.
about- Yeah,
This could be my favorite episode.
mine too.
You guys remember that episode where you told Jerry Seinfeld to go fuck himself? I still remember that one. What is going on? Oh my gosh. All right, I'm
Oh
gonna shut
Lord.
up.
All
I'm
right.
getting worried now.
All right, sinners. That's a cut.
Bye. Go talk to you soon from prison.